He didn't say a word when they handed him the envelope. He just stood there in the parking lot, his hard hat still on his head, a cold cup of coffee in his hand, and read the two sentences that would take away everything he'd spent 16 years building. Terminated. Effective immediately. He looked up, not at anyone in particular, just at the sky. And then he walked to his truck, sat down, and called his daughter to tell her he'd be home early. Marcus Webb was not a complicated man. He got up at 5 every morning, packed his lunch the night before, and drove 40 minutes to the Harmon construction site, where he worked as a senior project supervisor. He had been with the company for 16 years. He had never missed a deadline. He had never been written up. He had trained half the workers on that site personally, and most of them called him by name, not title. He was the kind of guy, said his coworker James, who'd stay an hour late just to make sure the new guys got home safe. At home, Marcus was raising his daughter, Lily, alone. Her mother had left when Lily was 4. Marcus had never made her feel the absence. He coached her soccer team on weekends. He helped her with homework at the kitchen table every night. He saved carefully, quietly, so that she could go to college without debt. He was not a wealthy man, but he was a steady one. The accusation was simple and specific. Someone had reported that Marcus Webb had been removing copper wire from the storage unit and selling it off-site. The company launched an internal investigation. They did not tell Marcus. Within 10 days, they called him into the HR office, placed the termination letter on the table, and told him his employment was being ended. What evidence? He asked. We can't share the details of the investigation, they said. He asked if he could respond. He was told the matter had already been decided. He walked out. He went to his truck. He called his daughter. He filed for unemployment. He was denied because the termination was listed as misconduct. He began applying for other positions. Word had spread. The construction industry in their county was small. Doors that had always been open stayed closed. 3 months passed. Marcus didn't sleep well, but every morning, he still got up at 5. That night, sitting at the kitchen table, Lily asked what happened. Marcus looked at her and said, "Somebody lied about me." And then, because he had taught her that the truth always mattered more than anger, he said, "But we're going to be okay." Lily started working weekend shifts at a grocery store to help. It was a former coworker named Dale who found the thread that unraveled everything. One afternoon over coffee, a young worker mentioned that the copper wire thefts had actually continued after Marcus was let go. Dale didn't hesitate. He called Marcus that same evening. "They kept happening," Dale said, "after you were gone. That means it wasn't you." Marcus contacted a legal aid attorney named Sandra Okafor. Sandra was thorough. She requested the full inventory loss records under a formal legal notice, obtained the security footage logs, and found something the company's own investigators had missed. The thefts had occurred on 3 dates. On 2 of those dates, Marcus had clocked out early for a medical appointment and a family obligation, both recorded in the company's own HR system. He could not have been on site. The anonymous tip traced back to Roy Givens, a man who had applied for the same promotion Marcus had received 2 years earlier. Sandra called Marcus on a Thursday morning. "I have everything," she said. "The records, the footage, the timestamps, the source. This is over." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. He looked at the record, Sandra later recalled, and said, "This changes everything." When Sandra presented the evidence, Harmon Construction moved quickly. Roy Givens was terminated. A formal apology letter was issued. Marcus received back pay, record restoration, and a cleared misconduct designation. Marcus did not return to Harmon Construction. Instead, he took a position with a smaller firm run by a man he had trained years earlier, who had called without being asked. "I always knew the kind of man you were. The door was open the minute I found out." On the first morning of his new job, Marcus packed his lunch the night before, got up at 5, and drove to work. Lily texted him that morning, "Proud of you, Dad." He texted back one word, "Always." The truth doesn't always arrive on time, but it always arrives.